welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here today to do my August wrap-up. As you can see, the glasses are on, my hair is up. I just came back from the gym. I did not feel like doing my hair and my makeup for this video, so we're just gonna run through it as it is, and I don't want to hear any judgments on my choices. So this is definitely going to be a shorter wrap-up. I had experienced somewhat of a reading slump in August, just coming back from vacation and getting back into work. I started on a new project at work, so life was a bit more demanding than I really expected. But we're here. We are going to talk about some of the books I read, and as always, we're going to start off with some statistics. My favorite part of the video. I hope it's your favorite part of the video. So in the month of August, I read 8 books, and that came out to a total of 2,848 pages, which is roughly 93 pages per day. If you saw last month's dual wrap-up of June and July, I'm above that average, which was 82. So we're slowly getting back to that 100 pages per day average that I like to uphold. I also listened to 7 hours of audiobook only. I think I actually read less books and less pages due to the fact that I wasn't able to listen to any audiobooks this month. And obviously I read physical books at a slower pace. And I also chose to physically read some of the books that are now going to be in my September wrap-up. In regards to the star ratings for these books, I read 0 5 stars, which definitely probably affects how I was feeling. 3 books were 4 stars, 4 books were 3 stars, 1 book was 2 stars, and then I had 0 1 stars, 0 DNFs, which is pretty good. And that came out to an average of 3.43, so definitely on the lower end this month and kind of matches the way I was feeling. In regards to the author identity, I had 5 books from female authors, 2 books from male authors, and 1 book from an author that identifies as non-binary. In terms of the age range, I had 4 adult books, 3 YA books, and 1 middle grade book. And then just in regards to the format, like I was talking about, I read 1 audiobook, 5 ebooks, and 2 physical books. So some of these books I read for content. A lot of vlogs came out in the month of August just because it was a lot easier to film. So 3 books I read for an ARC reading vlog. The first of which was Don't Want to Be Your Monster by Diki Moulton. The second was Holly Horror by Michelle Jabez Corpora. And the last one was Together We Rot by Skyla Arndt. Those 3 you can find in the ARC reading vlog that I will leave linked up above. Some of them I really enjoyed and some of them I did not. And if you would like to find out which of those books were part of the likes and dislikes, you can go ahead and find that vlog. This month I also read Born for the Professor Kelsey's book club. Overall, I really enjoyed this book, but we definitely go into more details about the themes and the symbolism, the metaphors, and all of that in the live show that I will also link. But I have a real love for Jeff Vandermeer, so I'm very excited to continue reading his backlist because I don't think I could really find a book from Jeff Vandermeer that I don't like. I love weird things. I love ecological themes. I love environmental themes. I think Jeff Vandermeer is doing really interesting stuff, so I'm very excited to continue with his work. And now we'll move into the books that I don't really have content for. The first one is Blood Mercy by Vila Roth. It is included in a vlog where I also read Born in. I don't go into too many details about my feelings, which is why I kind of wanted to touch upon them in this video. So Blood Mercy follows this character named Cassia, and Cassia is the daughter of this pretty abusive man who is in power. Is he the king? Yes, her father is the king of this realm, and around the time that Cassia is granted permission to visit her father in their home, a peace treaty negotiation thing is happening with a group of individuals called Hesperins. Hesperins are a different species from humans, and we can kind of see them as vampires. But the Hesperins, or Vila Roth, really is tackling the mythos of vampires that we know. So everything we know about vampires is kind of seen more positively with the Hesperins. So they take in children and turn them into Hesperins because these children are abandoned, they need homes. And Cassia is hell-bent on meeting a Hesperin in order to ask them specific questions about the mercies that they do. Upon this goal, she meets the youngest Hesperin named Leo, and they sort of form a bond where they discover about each other's cultures in a way and discover things about each other, if you get what I'm saying. So this is a book that definitely took me a really long time to read, and part of the reason that I had a reading slump in the month of August, because I think were this to have been a tad shorter, I would have enjoyed it so much more. This book is 667 pages, which I just feel like is too much for the story that this story was telling. I did really enjoy the intricate world building that Roth presented within the novel, but it was very slow moving and really hindered my overall appreciation of the reading experience. And while being interested in Leo as a character and the lore that comes with the Hesperans and Cassia's own relationship with her father, I really wasn't invested in these two characters' romance until well into the latter half of the novel. However, once we got there, I was really intrigued by the political movements between the two and how Cassia and Leo were going to move forward in their relationship. Also, just a side note, the spiciness in this book is very, very, very hot and well worth the wait, I think, when you get to it. And in addition to that, I think it's because Leo is such an interesting and sexy romantic hero. I feel so conflicted because I really enjoy what Roth is doing with the novel. And I think she really created a very interesting magic system and a very intricate world. So I would consider continuing, but this book definitely almost put me into a slump and it was a real struggle to get through. So I'm a little apprehensive to continue the series. And I gave Blood Mercy 3 stars. After that, I picked up Blood, Sweat, and Pixels by Jason Schreier. Jason Schreier is a reporter in the video game industry. I used to read a lot of his articles on Kotaku, and I find him to be a really fascinating writer, and I've always enjoyed his writing style. So when I saw that he had a book out, I definitely wanted to pick it up and see how it is, especially considering I myself work in the video game industry. So I wanted to see how Jason Schreier was tackling what devs have to deal with and how certain devs responded to certain situations that occur in the video game industry. And I've been meaning to pick this book up for a while. I bought it a long time ago, but I was always scared that it was going to disappoint me. However, as mentioned, as I've always been a fan of Jason Schreier's writing, I should have just known that he wouldn't let me down. Schreier's writing is really always informative and empathetic to the situations that he's writing about. He really demonstrated the struggles that the teams were having within the book on their specific games. The book is divided within specific games that had specific turmoils, while also making it clear that these teams that are working on these games are filled with people that are impacted by game development in both positive and negative ways. And as someone who works in the video game industry, I always find it fascinating to hear these stories from these other studios and from other games in development and how these particular teams are battling the cards that they are dealt with, especially when it comes to the impact and feedback from players in the future when they are playing these games. My one complaint about this novel is that Schreier, while he still mentions it, doesn't really dive into the very real crunch problem that happens in the video game industry, and particularly how devastatingly difficult it is on those individuals. I feel like with this title having the triumphant and turbulent stories, I went into this really expecting him to dive more into the negative impacts of developing video games, and specifically the impact that crunch time has on the developers and how it is a very real issue and problem in the industry itself. Yes, the games get more triumphant, but at what cost? I wish Schreier poked at this a bit more within his interview so that we could really get the fuller picture of being a developer, being a video game developer. In the end, I still enjoyed this overall besides that one criticism, and I gave this 4 stars. After that, I picked up Record of a Spaceborn Few by Becky Chambers. This is book 3 in her Wayfarer series. The first book, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, follows individuals in space as they are on this mission to kind of create wormholes, if I remember correctly. But Record of a Spaceborn Few doesn't follow those characters at all, even though these stories are all sort of related. But this follows a group of individuals that live on the Exodus fleet. And this is a fleet of individuals that have left Earth centuries ago. And the tagline is that humanity has finally been accepted into the galactic community. But while this has opened doors for many, those who have not yet left for alien cities fear that their carefully cultivated way of life is under threat. So we follow a bunch of individuals where this theme is kind of important to their specific chapters. The ending of this novel really made me sob. It was so impactful and demonstrating the beauty of humanity, no matter where we end up in the universe. This is one of the more human, and I say that impactfully, centric novels that Becky Chambers has written. And I feel as though that this is partly why it sits somewhere in the middle for me out of all of her books in the Wayfarer series. The beginning portion of the novel felt really slow. And again, I was like, oh no, not another book that's going to take me so long to read. And it didn't particularly feel cozy in the Becky Chambers way. It was really difficult for me to find myself getting close to the characters, which is never something I want to experience, especially with the Becky Chambers books, because I feel like her characters are so encompassing and you really feel connected to them. But the novel really picks up after a certain scene, I would say probably midway through the novel. And I feel like that's when I began to fully understand and embrace the message that the novel is trying to portray. And I ended up enjoying this overall. I gave it a 3.5 stars. And I'm definitely excited to continue with the last book in the series this month because I just love Becky Chambers' writing. And then finally, the last book I read this month, I was really craving reading a manga and I didn't want to touch any of the ones I have on my TBR, obviously, on my physical TBR. Why would I do that? So I decided to pick up Yona of the Dawn, Volume 1 by Mitsuho Kusanagi because I was participating in a readathon this month from Mel Reads on her Patreon, and one of the prompts was to read a book with royalty in it, and I had 1 day left to complete the readathon. So I was like, you know what, let me just read a manga. Looked at my manga shelf, of course, I didn't have anything. So I was like, I think Yona of the Dawn, somewhere in my brain remembered that it was about a princess, and I was like, bet, I'm gonna read it. So this book follows a girl named Princess Yona, and she is the son of a very kind but cowardly king. Yona is in love with her cousin, which is something I will get into, and is also best friends with her bodyguard named Hawk. Everything changes on the night of her 16th birthday when she witnesses the murder of her father at the hands of someone she knows very well, and then her and Hawk escape, and I think this is going to be a bodyguard princess romance. And if that's the case, call me invested. As mentioned, when I first started reading this book, I was very, very off-put by the main character being completely in love and enamored by her cousin. And to be quite frank, it was starting to get really, really, really annoying partway through the book. And I was really debating DNFing this manga because I was like, why? This is too much. And I couldn't understand why people I respected loved this manga series and this anime series so much. However, like mentioned in the synopsis, this novel takes a really interesting and sad turn really close to the end of the book. And it really intrigued me, and it really started to imply that bodyguard princess romance. So now I'm completely invested. I'm here for it. I want to continue to see how the story develops. Do I need more manga on my TBR? No. Will I though? The answer is yes, and I gave this 3 stars just because I couldn't really get over that beginning portion, but I could just see the next books in this series doing it for me, and I'm ready. And that's it. This was a really short wrap up. I hope you still enjoyed. As you can see, it was too short for me to want to get dolled up, you know? But if you've read any of these books, please let me know down below what you thought about them. Did you like them? Did you hate them? Let me know. And of course, if you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. It does wonders for my channel, makes me feel really good. And that's it. I never know how to end these things when I feel awkward begging for likes and subscribes. So I will see you next time. Okay, bye.